Welcome back to our YouTube channel. This is Narayan Rao Kovur. In this video, I am going to explain Law of Diminishing Marginal Utility. Law of Diminishing Marginal Utility. So, before going to explain Law of Diminishing Marginal Utility, what is the introduction to the Law of Diminishing Marginal Utility? What is the meaning of law of diminishing marginal utility? What is the definition of LDMU? What are the assumptions and table explanation? Relationship between total utility and marginal utility? Diagram explanation and what are the exceptions to the law of diminishing marginal utility? So now I am going to explain first what is the introduction to the LDMU. The law of diminishing marginal utility was introduced by H. Gaussian in the year 1854. That is why it is called Gaussian's first law. Later, Alfred Marshall popularized and developed in a scientific manner. According to this theory depends upon the facts that human wants are unlimited and a particular want is satiable. Since each want is satiable, if a consumer consumes more and more units of a commodity, the additional utility derived from the additional unit of a commodity goes on diminishing. So according to law of diminishing marginal utility, if a consumer consumes more and more units of a commodity, the additional utility derived from the consumption of an additional unit of a commodity goes on diminishing. Now, according to Alfred Marshall, the definition given by Alfred Marshall, the additional benefit which a person derives from a given increase of his stock of a thing diminishes with every increase in the stock that he already has. That means, according to Alfred Marshall, the additional benefit which a person derives from a given increase of his stock of a thing diminishes with every increase in the stock that he already has, by Alfred Marshall. That means, if a consumer consumes more and more units of a commodity, the additional utility derived from the consumption of an additional unit of a commodity goes on diminishing. Next, this theory depends upon some assumptions. Law of diminishing marginal utility mainly depends upon some assumptions. One is, consumer is a rational consumer. A rational consumer is a consumer who always seeks maximum satisfaction with his limited income. Assumption number 2, cardinal measurability of utility. Utility can be measurable, utility can be quantifiable entity. Assumption number 3, units of a commodity should be homogeneous in nature or identical in all aspects. That means perfect substitutes. Fourth one, assumption number 4, units of a commodity should be divisible in nature. Next, assumption number 5, units of a commodity should be standard in size. That means neither too big nor too small. That is in standard in size. Next, continuity in consumption. There is no time lag between consumption of one unit to the consumption of another unit. Next, marginal utility of money remains constant. Marginal utility of money remains constant. Next, the taste and preference of the consumer, the income of the consumer remains constant. These are the assumptions the law of diminishing marginal utility mainly depends upon. And one more assumption is hypothesis of independent utility. That means the utility of a commodity depends upon the quantity of that commodity only. Next. So key terminologies of LDMU. One is total utility. Total utility is the sum total of utilities of all the units of a commodity combined together, we get total utility. Total utility is equal to function of Qn. Function of Qn. Total utility is equal to sum of marginal utilities. Tu is equal to mu1 plus mu2 plus and so on mun. Total utility is equal to sigma marginal utilities. Second one, marginal utility. Marginal utility is the additional utility derived from the consumption of one additional unit of a commodity, that is known as marginal utility. It is marginal utility is the addition made to the total utility. Therefore, mu is equal to tun minus tun minus 1, or mu is equal to delta tu by delta q. Next, table explanation. LDMU can be explained with the help of table. So units of apples, total utility, marginal utility. So Marshall has taken 7 apples, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Total utility 40, 70, 90, 100, 100, 90, 70. Based on that, we can calculate marginal utility. 40, 40, 70 minus 40, 30, 90 minus 70, 20, and so on. If we observe this table, this theory explains units of a commodity increases, marginal utility of a commodity decreases. Units of a commodity increases, marginal utility of a commodity decreases. Next, if we observe the table, so units of apple 1, total utility is equal to 40, marginal utility is equal to 40. Up to consumption of 4 apples, total utility increases at a diminishing rate, marginal utility decreases but positive. Up to consumption of 4 apples, total utility increases at a diminishing rate. Marginal utility decreases but positive. Next, at the consumption of 5th apple, so total utility maximum, marginal utility is 0. The consumer is fully satisfied. Next, this is called point of satiety. After the consumption of 5th apple, that means 6th and 7th, total utility declines, marginal utility becomes negative. So next, based on the information available, we can explain the LDME with the help of diagrammatic explanation. So there is a unique relation between Tu and Mu. There is an unique relation between total utility and marginal utility. One is Mu is positive, Tu increases at a diminishing rate. Mu is 0, Tu is maximum or constant. Mu is negative, Tu decreases. This is the unique relation between total utility and marginal utility. So LDMU can be explained with the help of diagram. So draw L shape, mark YOX, total utility marginality measured on y-axis, units of apple measured on x-axis. Based on the information available in the table, we have taken the scale. So on y-axis 1 centimeter is equal to 20 units, x-axis 1 centimeter is equal to 1 unit. So likewise, So 0, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100 minus 20. X-axis 1, 2, 3, and so on 7. Take the values of units of apples and corresponding total utility values. Identify the intersecting points 40, 70, 90, 100, 100, 90, 70. Connect all the points with a curve line, then you will get a total utility curve. Same, take the values of units of apples and marginal utility values. So I think 40, 30, 20, 10, 0, minus 10, minus 20. Then connect all the values with a straight line, then you will get a marginal utility. So this is the diagrammatic explanation in the case of law of diminishing marginal utility. First observe, up to fourth apple, total utility increases at a diminishing rate, marginal utility falls and positive. At fifth apple, total utility maximum, marginal utility becomes 0. After fifth apple, total utility decreases, marginal utility becomes negative. This is the unique relation between total utility and marginal utility. Next, this theory has some exceptions or limitations. Law of diminishing marginal utility has some limitations and exceptions. Point number 1. There are some unrealistic assumptions. Not realistic assumptions. One is cardinal measurability of utility. Utility is a subjective concept. Utility is a psychological phenomena. So how can we measure utility in terms of numerical numbers? So that is one. Cardinal measurability of utility is unrealistic assumption. Second one, marginal utility of money is constant. So there are some fluctuations in the economy. Prices also fluctuate in the economy. Automatically, marginal utility of money also changes, not constant. Another unrealistic assumption. Continuous consumption. In general, this was not happens. So there is no continuous consumption. That is also unrealistic assumption. Homogeneity of units consumed. It is a rare case. Generally, there is some differences in the unit to unit. So homogeneity of units consumed. That means there is a heterogeneity also there. Product differentiation is also there. Next, the law is not universal. The law is not universal. MU may increase with increase in consumption. What law states that? So units of a commodity increases, marginal utility decreases. What happens? MU may increase with increase in consumption. Consumption increases, MU also increases. Quite opposite. Prestigious goods. The law is not valid in the case of prestigious good. For example, diamonds, gold, money, etc. etc. Next, hobbies. Collection of philately, collection of coins, collection of postal stamps, collection of currency, marginal utility increases. Next, habit forming goods. Habit forming goods like cigarette, consumption of cigarette, consumption of alcohol, marginal utility increases instead of decreasing. And behavior of miser. Behavior of miser. So in all these cases, the law is not universal. The law is not universal. So the law is not applicable particular in the case of m cubed. The law is not applicable particularly in the case of m cubed. One is music, second one is money, third one is miser. Music, miser, money. In these three cases, the law is not valid. The law does not work. This is something the information regarding. So the law of diminishing marginal utility. The law of diminishing marginal utility. So thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe and comment.